Welcome to DU Digimon.
Hey there guys, and welcome back to DU Digimon. My name is Alex from DU Digimon, and I've got a deck profile for you of one of my favourite decks. We are looking at the red-purple Imperialdramon deck today, and I recognise that some of you may very well be clicking this straight away, knowing what kind of cards you're going to see in here that are a little harder to get hold of, a little bit more expensive. So at the end of the profile, I will have a couple of recommendations for you as well, just so you can make sure that your deck is still playable. Just have a look at those ones there. And also, while I've got you here, I am using in real life cards because this is my own deck that I pilot at lead locals. But if you would much rather see everything on a screen, much like Josh does on his videos, please let me know and I'll get that set up ready for you next time. So very easily, we are running the 4 Minimon eggs. Mainly because it is purple, it's got Minimon in name, which makes your BT21 Wormmon cost you 0, but also the Inheritable allows you to trash a card in your hand to help set up your trash. Now you can only do so when you're attacking and when you're multicolored, so you can't say turn it into your EX3 Vmon and swing just so you can get that trash in, so that is a bit of a pain. But there is another card you can use, which I'll show you at the end of the profile, which can help you meet that condition as well. So that's a nice easy one to go from. Then we want to get into our kind of like the consistency cards. So we are still using the 4 of the EX3 Vmon. It's trash a card to draw 2, which sometimes, as I said, you just need the trash. Then your better searcher of the bunch is the Wormmon EX3 to allow you to look at the top 3. You can add one and then trash one amongst the Freeze and Imperialdramon cards, and then the final card is just sent to the bottom of your deck. And finally, the combo piece of the lot, this is the best card in the deck, is the Wormmon from BT16. Now, I don't really need to explain this one all too much. This is what makes this card this deck really nuts. And it's so fun. I do sometimes flip between a 13th and 14th level 3 in this deck, and again I will show those at the end of the profile. Now this is the part that I know a lot of people can't get a hold of, and it is kind of gatekeeping playing this deck at its full power, and that is the 4 copies of Promo Shadramon. I'm really sorry, it is the best way to play the deck, but like I said, you can still play the deck with some alternatives, which I'll show you at the end. But the fact that it can allow you to fetch the second copy that you need from your trash is really what makes it so live. But in the time being, you are still welcome to use the EX3 Shadramons and Flamedramons as well. And we are still running the Shadramons. Now you do kind of need this to be able to, as I said, you pick up the remaining component, but in this case it's digivolving your second level 3 into the other color you need. Now because nearly all the other colors you want are just the reds, I am just using the 4 Shadramon. You can just drop 1 or 2 for Flamedramons, but I find that you're just playing with consistency there. Sod's Law is you'll see the Flamedramon when you don't need it, but at the very least Flamedramon can pick up the Shadramon, but it doesn't pick up the final card I'm using. And I really like this one. That's why I'm using this at 3 copies, and that is the X Vmon from BT20. I really like this one for the on-play to Digivolve, to DNA Digivolve, but it also allows you to pop a 3 lower, and sometimes there are some floodgates that get in your way. Admittedly, I can't really think of all too many floodgates that are getting played, but it's there if you need it. Sometimes there's maybe a cheap block or something, but it's an on-play, so if you have only got, say, a Shadramon, but you didn't have any pieces to pick up, you can just slam this down for the full 4 cost, do the effect to delete as much as you can. If you can't, doesn't matter, and then you get to DNA Digivolve with either of them. And yeah, it's also 2K inheritable, so I really like this card. As I said, there is some other options you can use, like I mentioned the Flamedramon, but for the sake of consistency and seeing at least Shadra to pick up the X Vmon when I need it, that's kind of why I've just been running the 4 copies, but no harm in just flitting between the lot. Now moving on to our 5s, really easy. We're running the 4 Dino Beamon from BT16. It's the best level, I mean, it is the best level 5. You always want to make sure you're DNAing with this card, and it lets you pick up your level 5 or lower from trash to meet that DNA requirement. And it gives you partition as well. Now we are still using the EX3 Imperialdramon. Reason being is because now that we're running some other level 5s that don't pick up the other level 5 you need, we do need to make sure that we're picking up the Dyna B when we need it. So that is what this Imperialdramon does, which is when digivolving, if you DNA digivolve with it, pick up Dyna B from trash. Now it doesn't have to be this one. You can also pick up the BT20 Dynabemon. This one's really cool to help recover your pieces because it is an on-play when digivolving to return a Imperialdramon or free trait from your trashy hand. With the all turns effect of if this card would be returned to the hand or deck, you can instead DNA Digivolve, which is really cool. But of the two new cards from BT20, of the level 5s, I do prefer the Imperialdramon. This Imperialdramon is so cool. So on play when digivolving is for the turn, one of yours gets piercing and plus 4k, and this may attack. Now that coincides with your BT16 Dynabemon and helps you get a little bit more aggressive, because the Dynabe says you basically one of your Digimon you can play out from your trash, and then one of your Digimon gains rush for the turn, but it has to attack a player. That was an errata they've got. So that allows you to pick up this Imperialdramon, give it rush, so then you can, for the turn, swing, give it 4k and piercing, so that's going to go through as a 12k. Very likely it will survive the swing, and if you still have memory, you can then also get a swing in with your Dynabemon, so that's just a little bit more aggression there. And one thing to remember as well is even if you can't successfully swing to security, your Dynabe does have raid, which honestly is something I do keep forgetting to do, but it does allow you to get over some problems. And there's a card that I've considered teching just so the raid can get around some bigger problems on the board, and I'll show you that at the end. But that's it for the level 5s. Now moving on to the 6s. The 6s tend to have the most fluctuation between them, which is really cool because it's not just the same cookie cutter deck. Everyone's using some similar things. A lot of people are using some techs. I'm not running in my main deck a kind of like a staple purple card, and I'll explain why in a bit. But getting to that first is the level 6s. I am running 4 of the EX3 Imperialdramon Dragon Mode. It is still the best of the two, in my opinion. The ace that we got in BT20 is very cool, but you do want to see this card because this is where you finalize your combo, and this is how you complete it all, because you do have your end of turn from your level 4s to turn your Dynabe and Imperialdramon, go into another DNA, you go into Dragon Mode. Dragon Mode says, I'm pseudo Megidramoning the board, you choose one and delete the rest. So something lives, but don't worry because you do remove that other one as well. You then blitz if you've passed turn, to then allow you to declare, swing, you gain extra 2k, you go into fighter mode, yada yada yada. This is the best one, but I do still run 1 copy of the ace just in case. It's good. I mainly run it so that I've got that 5th copy of the Dragon Mode name, but sometimes the ace does come up, but not. It's finicky. It's a little bit finicky. Sometimes it sits in hand and I've already got the other EX3, so I just go to EX3, and I don't really do too much with this one. But you do have a lot more opportunity to sit on a level 5 on board now, so there's nothing wrong with having the ace, because like I said, the new level 5s you've got, all turns, if they would be removed, Dynabe either being spun or bounced, and the Imperialdramon, if you would be deleted, you get to instead DNA with them, so that's really cool, especially if you pick up this, because it does allow you to go into fighter mode in their turn. Finally, speaking of the fighter mode, I'm just running 3 of the BT20. This is such a good card. This is so aggressive. It's so cool. And it does all the things that I've wanted to do. It's a shame that we don't have the on deletion, same as the old EX3, but with partition now from the Dynabemon, that's not too big of an issue. Instead of a 4th copy though, I am running the BT12 Imperialdramon. I really like this one. I really like the removal. It is something that I've been poked at a few times before, but I really like it. And because we're not searching for colors in this deck, there's no issue with having a blue-green, because it just goes over any of your Dragon modes for the same cost of 2 as this one does, and you can still fetch it with all your other searches in this deck. So that's where I'm sticking at the moment. I really like this one, like the removal, and overall it can get bigger because it gains an extra 1,000 for every color in your sources. So yeah, I really like this card. It's also one of the few ways we can get blocker if you do need it. But that is the level 6 I'm running. Like I said, there are other cards that you can use in your level 6s, and I'll get to those at the end. This is probably the easiest part of the deck. Which teams are we running? There's no question about it. We're running 4 Analog Youth. It's got to be done because you want to have stuff in your trash, and Analog is your cheapest searcher at 2. Look at the top 3, add the Digimon, trash the rest. And if you get it right, you get to have a look between a 3, 4, and a 5. If you've got Dynabe in hand, then you make sure you trash the 5. If you see a Wormon, you can put that in your hand, but not always, because if you've got Shadramon in hand, the Promo Shadramon, maybe leave the Wormon in trash, so that way your Shadramon can pick up that Wormon, to then have that Wormon go into Shadramon EX3 or XVmon, and then you have your DNA combo and you go off. So we are running 4 Analog Youth. Now this is where I have the most changes. Currently I'm running the mat from ST16. As I mentioned earlier, the Minimon does have the inheritable to allow you to trash when you swing, and your mat can then let you get 1 memory back. But overall we just need a memory tamer. We need to start off with a 3. And that's where this deck can stumble a bit, because if you start off early, you're constantly getting choked and you don't have full combo available. You need to put your resources into getting those pieces, yada, yada, yada. You need a memory tamer. So that's why we dig as much as we can. And at the moment I'm using Matt, but I'm tempted to use a couple other tamers, which I will show you in a moment. I am still using the Missed Memory Boost. So we're running 2 copies. I have a love-hate relationship with this card, but I'm very tempted to bump this up to 3 copies and replace the card I'm going to show you now, which is the Purple Scramble. Now, Purple Scramble does have a really fun combo with a memory tamer in this deck, but you won't, it's not live all the time, but it is fun when it goes off. If you're not aware, the Purple Scramble combo is, before your turn starts, you resolve your Scramble by putting a card from your trash on top of your deck, and then playing your 2 cost or lower Digimon. That's usually going to be your Wormmon. You do Wormmon's full combo. You combo, you Digivolve, you DNA Digivolve, you do all that, and then by the time you know it, you're like, oh, I've passed to my opponent with 3 memory. Your mat then says, start of turn, go up to 3. So you've done all that essentially for free. And then you start your turn. You can then hatch your egg. You can then start a main phase effects and go off from there. But the Purple Scramble, it's not always live. Sometimes I'd open that and I go, oh, I'd rather have just something else. I'd rather have another Missed Memory Boost because I haven't seen enough pieces go to the trash yet. I really want just 8 copies of Analog Youth. But this is a piece I think I'm going to trash. It's got a very, very, it does come up, but sometimes I see it a bit too early, even as a one-off, and I go, well, I'd rather that was just another Missed Memory Boost. So maybe that's something you want to consider if you start building this deck as well. Now that is everything for the main deck, and I said I'd go over some options in this as well. Not card options, different options in the deck. Real easy one is the BT21 tie. This is very easily the other memory tamer you can go into because it gives you a bit more aggression. You start swinging with a lot more security checks. You can even do so on your Dino B if you're getting that successful check-in. Then go into your Imperialdramon Dragon mode, go into fight mode, and even do 2 more breaks. So that can really speed up the game for you. And I might even have to give this one a go myself. But right now I've gone for the mat just for the sake. I'm still kind of trialing the mat to see how live the memory gain is. Another one, I throw this into so many of my decks, it's becoming a bit of a joke, but hear me out, and that is the ST15 tie. Now, Dino Bmon has raid. Now, Dino Bmon is only an 8k level 5, which can go to 10k if you've got, say, the Vmon underneath. Which can get another 2k with X Vmon underneath, but more often you're probably going to have the extra 2k, so it's stuck at 10. Tie, when you swing, you can then raid and give it another 2k, which, yes, you can crash into a lot, but it also does run over a lot. And if you do have both 4k total inheritables to give you 14k total when you swing, that can remove a lot of threats as well. So it might be something to consider. It is also a draw 1. However, you don't have it as live because we don't really have blockers in this deck. But if you're finding that Matt isn't doing anything in your build, but you want something else, like, yes, aggression's good, but if you find that you're always getting them down to 0 security anyway, sometimes I've had security attack +1 was pointless because they only had 1. Maybe give this one a whirl, because again, we don't search for colors. The other one that I think we all gave a go when it dropped is the BT20 Battle NPC. I do not like this card. It is an idea. It's a memory tamer, so start of turn you'll go to 3. But when you play, you get to put a level 3 from your hand beneath it to draw 1 card. So cool, straight away, if I open with it, I'm one more card in. That's fine, it replaces itself. But the starter main phase effect is, if you don't have any Digimon on the board, that means that you didn't even have an egg or a stack to bring out. And if you don't have any Digimon present, then you can play the level 3 that's beneath your battle NPC, and then you trash a battle NPC. which is okay, but it never came up, especially now that you've got Scramble, so that's another chance that you're like, no, I will have a Digimon on the board and I will be live. So it's not for me. But that's the tamers that I was considering, and actually, you know what, now that I've said it, I might even switch back to the red tie. Now, the next tech is one of my favourite ones. It is the BT16 Salamon. This is essentially a second copy of BT16 Wormmon, because it does the same thing of you can play it, or start main phase. One of your Digimon can Digivolve into a level 4 with a Holy Beast or free trait. So again, this can go into your Shadramon promo, which then starts up your combos from there as well. Or if, say, you brought out one of your eggs, and when you're level 3, so it's a Vmon, you can then play the Salamon next to it, Digivolve this into an EX3 Shadramon or Flamedramon, and then that will then Digivolve your other one into the other colour that you're missing, and then you can end of turn DNA and go up from there. Or actually not end of turn, the Flamedramon and Shadramon have an effect to instead do a DNA, and then the Inheritable should be able to go up your stack as well. So Salamon helps fix those gaps. It's another level 3 you can just play to go like, by the way, I still have combo on board. So I really like Salamon. And actually, now that I say that, I might even drop my Scramble to play this, because instead of having played a Scramble to do a Digivolution reduction with its main effect, I think I'd rather just make sure I've got this live and at the ready. Plus, the Inheritable's not too bad either. All your post-security Digimon get minus 3k. So if you get it early, then you're more likely to survive your security checks. So you might feel a bit more reckless, if you will, and start swinging like with your 4Ks if you've got them. It's possible. If you put a 2K Inheritable under your one of your Shadramons or XVmons, maybe not XVmons, it's 4K, still, you might be able to survive a few more. So it helps promote that aggression. The other card that came from BT20 is Vmon. I'm not a fan of this one. It's there because it helps you reserve some of your memory as well. When any of your purple Digimon are played, this Digimon may Digivolve into a Digimon card in the hand with a free trait, with the cost reduced by 1. But that's asking for this one to be in your raising. Bring that up. And then you've got to play something else out, which I guess, yes, combos with your BT16 Wormmon and even the Salamon that we're looking at. Because in that case, if you've got the part in hand, but you didn't have any trash, it's there. I'm not a fan of it. I can see why it can come up, and it's another case of getting a 2K Inheritable as well, but it's not for me. I personally just don't get along with it. As we mentioned, you can run the Flamedramon too. If you are missing out on the promo Shadramons, by all means, still run 3 Shadramon and 3 Flamedramon from EX3, because you can still play this deck without them. You just need to change up how you keep your second component available to you, because you do need to have 2 level 3s to be able to do that combo. So maybe you do want to go towards running even a second copy of Salamon to make sure you've got that available to you. So that way when you're playing your level 3, instead of passing turn and losing all momentum, you still have a combo to go on there. Now, with XVmon's debut, with the red XVmon that came in BT20, we did also get BT20 Stingmon. This one's pretty cool as well, but it is specifically deleting a level 3 Digimon, whereas XVmon deletes a 3k or lower. They're essentially targeting the same things, but 3k or lower, you're very rarely going to find level 3s with more than 3k, unless you're Loosemon, so sorry about that. But the other part of it is it does the same thing, which allows you to DNA Digivolve into a free trait or Imperialdramon card. But that gives you retaliation as well. So if you do want to decide, actually, I am going to raid and swing into that, no, I'm not bigger than it, but I'll retaliate so I can remove a threat on the board, maybe Stingmon's the card for you. I just really like XVmon, I like the DB boost. And it helps promote swinging into security more often, rather than being worried about if they've got a bigger threat on the board to block with. The other one I've only ever used a handful of times, but more I look at it, more I go, oh, I could have used that in that situation. And that is the Sethmon from BT16. When you Digivolve and when you attack, you can choose one of your Digimon, delete it, and one of your opponent's Digimon with as much or less DP as this. So in this case, let's say that we do swing or Digivolve into this Sethmon. Thanks to the Vmon, it's now a 7k. We can choose to delete the Sethmon. And when we do that, we can then delete one of your opponent's Digimon as is as well, because it's delete it and one of your opponent's as much or less DP. So I'm pretty sure that you can choose to delete this Armor Purge. And even though you haven't been completely deleted, you still delete the other, because you're checking the DP ranges, before it's all completed. So it can help you remove some threats. It's also red-purple, so if you're playing the Flamedramons and Shadramons from EX3, that might be where you need to pick up your middle ground, because sometimes if you have red purple, you don't have to worry too much about what the other color is, which is gonna be great. But because I am running the promos, I don't need it as much. But again, sometimes I need the removal. Sometimes this definitely reaches more than Xmon does, so I'll have to consider it. Next up is also a favorite I've used, which is the BT16 Gatekeeping. BT16 came with a lot of cards. We did really, really well with BT16. This one is an on-play when digivolving to trash card in your hand to return a level 6 or lower 2-color Digimon that's either red or purple. So that's basically a deck. You could pick up your deck with this by trashing a card in your hand, which is... It's great. Plus, it's also got barrier, so it promotes that bit more of early aggression, because you can swing with this, live by trashing the top of your security, and then you can decide to DNA up, because you just need to make sure you got a red and you meet the requirements. And it also does have the same inheritable as the Salamon, so minus 3k. If you decide to go for that, then you're just promoting more aggression with this deck. This is the other level 6 a lot of people are playing, which is the Imperialdramon Fighter Mode Ace. I don't really get along with this card. I don't sit well with the aces in this deck all too much. Because I do find that it gets popped sooner with other means, and then you're partitioning into some level 4, so this isn't as live. But again, you also go into this really with your Dragon Mind effect. So this one does allow you to return one of your opponent's Digimon with fewer or less Digivolution cards to the bottom of their deck. Considering how many times you DNA in this, you're going to be much bigger with sources than pretty much everyone. So you pretty much choose something they've got, put it on their deck. And then end of attack, you unsuspend this, then if Dragon Mode is in this card sources, return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to the bottom of the deck. You are basically just removing 2 threats, and you're doing it outside of deletion, which a lot of things do have protection from deletion. So that's really, really cool. It's just not for me personally. There is another ace that people are using now, which is the new Darkdramon ace. This one's really, really cool, because if you do find yourself sitting on a level 5 quite frequently, all your level 5s are purple, so you can go into this. This is your on-play when Digivolve into de-Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon, then delete all the Digimon with the lowest play cost. So that's a really cool threat removal. And like I said, so many Digimon do have protection now, but very rarely from de-Digivolve. So if they are swinging in with their one Digimon, you've just removed it. And if they've got protection on themselves, they've removed that as well. And if you're worried about, but I'm just going to overflow and give to my opponent, Darkdramon Ace has Scapegoat. So if you've got another just free body on the board, so say, you threw down a VMon because you thought you'd pass or swing for game, but something happened, the game memory passed turn, yada, yada, yada. Your Darkdramon's not going to give them the overflow because you'll delete your VMon instead if it would be removed. So Darkdramon Ace is a really cool one that I'm really considering giving a go. I've got to work out the room for it. Moving on to the final kind of like considerations for this deck. The next ace I think everybody's probably considered at some point is the Imperialdramon Paladin Mode Ace. This one's really cool. I got a love-hate relationship with this because Paladin Mode Ace doesn't do anything when they attack really. It doesn't remove Digimon. It's not a blocker. It doesn't have a lot going for it in regards to true counterplay. But it does counter some decks. So when you Digivolve, you can choose yours, your opponent's trash, and return all cards from them to the bottom of the deck. And then if you returned a white Digimon, you can then gain 3 memory. So that's where you can kind of like regain your turn or stop their turn and get back to yours. Memory tamer, then you then go up to 3. So that's the closest you'll get, but it's only on specific matchups. And if you really want to do it live with yours, because I've had some decks where I've even had this to put my trash to the bottom of my deck because I had, say, an Omnimon in trash put at the bottom and I've gained 3 memory. Their attack still goes through, but so long as it's not game, then we're okay. And then when you're attacking, that's where this card is obviously super nuts because you just keep swinging. Moving on to the next one. This is the one that nearly everybody runs, but I just keep milling it. I always mill this card, Calling from Darkness, delete one of your Digimon, and then put 2 purples from your trash in your hand. Really easy. I just keep milling it, so I replaced it with Purple Scramble. Next one, Demonic Disaster, paying 1 cost, delete one of your other Digimon to unsuspend one of your purple Digimon. This is where I think a lot of people are running this even as one-offs, just for that more aggression to go like, my fighter mode didn't get game, I'm going to play this out, delete it, and then my fighter mode switch for game. There you go. So that again, when I've tested it, I just keep milling it. I really don't like one-offs, but sometimes we have to stick with what we've got. Sometimes it's fine, sometimes it's not. And then finally is the Emperor Dragon of Calamity. So this is a red-purple, so it's a little bit more difficult to meet the requirements just immediately. But it does let you play a free trait from your trash with the play cost reduced by 5. So if you don't have that, say that Wormmon or Salamon in your hand, you can play this for 3 to put that back on the board, and then you do full combo. It's a cool card. Again, nobody unfortunately really is running it, but maybe you'll have a bit more success with it. Sometimes Sometimes you can get the ball rolling a little sooner. Sometimes you have your purple egg turn into a red, and then you can successfully play another purple on the board, or you get your mat tamer, so that way you're not too worried about your colours right now. Maybe that's how you go about doing it. Or maybe you play the red tie tamer, so you get your reds and purples more frequently. Now that is pretty much everything from me. If you do like what you see here, and if you've had a chance to view our other videos on the channel, please give us a like and subscribe so you can stay tuned for more. If you've got any recommendations for this deck, if there's something that I haven't considered, please let me know in the comments below. I could really use some inspiration. There's a lot of things I really want to try with this. Straight away, I think I'm going to take out that Scramble. I'm going to change my mat tamers and see how something else does instead. And if you've got any recommendations, please let me know in the comments below. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and you have a great day. Keep it digital.